Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender just recently released, and I loved it. But I had one big problem with it. So by the end of this video, you're gonna hear not only my thoughts on the film, my personal analysis on the characters, stories, and themes of the film, but you're also gonna see why I'm still furious about this movie as a whole. So, play my music! Hey storytellers, Chill here and welcome to a brand new video. Now I know, very different. This is not a fucking hole in the wall. I put my hoodie and my bath towel and I hope it works. Pussy. But I had just recently watched the movie Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. And before we get into any of the nitty-gritty on the release of it, the reception of it, the situation involving all of it, I just want to talk about it, right? I want to talk about this movie because if you don't know, Avatar The Last Airbender, the former Nickelodeon series, is my favorite piece of fiction of all time. Like, that's not an exaggeration. That's not me doing this for the bit. It is my favorite. It's my favorite piece of television, my favorite piece of anything. There's no movie that I love more than it. There's no piece of music I love more than it. There's no anime, no manga, no nothing that I love more than Avatar The Last Airbender. I would love to go into my personal history of the series, but I think that's way too much. I might do that in a future video. Eventually, I do want to analyze the entirety of The Last Airbender series. The actual one, not the fucking Netflix one. Ever since I was a kid, I have loved Avatar. And ever since I've continuously rewatched it and really enjoyed, you know, the intricacies and learn to analyze story and learn to appreciate storytelling and character writing and music and art and all these things, Avatar The Last Airbender just keeps becoming the best thing ever. It is fucking awesome. I love it. And you know, more Avatar content is great. I'm also a huge fan of The Legend of Korra. I know people shit on it, but I think The Legend of Korra is dope as shit. Korra's goated. If you don't like Korra, get the fuck out the I'm joking, please stay. But I love Korra. I love the original series. And when they announced not only another Avatar series in the Seven Havens, but a new animated film, a theatrical released animated 2D film, I was like, oh my
wow, that's cool.
Have they met expectations? Damn straight they've met expectations. I know typically YouTuber likes to string you along, you know, make you wonder, is he gonna like it? Is it actually good? It's good as hell. It's good as hell. It has entirely been worth the wait. The over 10-year wait, I'd say, because this is a masterpiece. First thing I want to talk about is the animation. The animation on Avatar Aang is jaw-dropping. It is gorgeous. I think it's by the same studio that did Korra, I think. Let me look it up. Okay, so after looking it up, it was done by Studio Mir, who did do The Legend of Korra. They did some additional work on it, but it was mainly led by Flying Bark Productions, the same studio that did stuff like Rise of the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles and Lego Monkey Kid. So it is no fucking surprise that this animation is the best animation that has ever touched the Avatar franchise. No bullshit, no cap. 100%. From the second this movie starts, it is jaw-dropping. It is insane. Every single second of animation has so much love, has so much care put into it. There is so much detail. Things are constantly moving, but it does not feel like they're just moving for the sake of moving, right? I think there is a growing complaint that sometimes there is too much animation, that you can over-animate. I mean, I know for any creatives, for any artists that are currently watching this video, you know damn well you can over-animate. You can definitely do too much to the point where it's taking away from the film, where it's taking away from the action, where you're trying to make the spectacle such a spectacle that it's no longer something that you can actually process and is making the story move forward. I think that Avatar Aang avoids this, though, because it does outstanding animation when it needs to, right? It's only doing the real crazy shit during fight scenes, during action scenes, and it's making sure that you are still following. Because what's important is that it's not only well animated, but it is excellently directed. And it doesn't surprise me, the people who have worked on Avatar, the people who love Avatar, the people who have Avatar in their veins, these people know how to tell a story, right? Avatar The Last Airbender was not lightning in a bottle, goddammit. It was a very well calculated masterpiece. So the animation in this film is just absolutely gorgeous. The art in this film is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it almost reminds me of like classic Disney movies, you know, the ones who are hand-drawn and where everything looks insane, where you watch now in 2026 and you're like, god damn, they were really fucking good at animating back in the day. And they're just as good in this movie as they were back then. I would say this is some of the best looking 2D animation I have ever seen personally. Now, if you know me and you've seen previous videos, you know that my favorite animated movie ever is Your Name, and my second favorite animated movie ever is A Silent Voice. These are two movies that are absolutely stunning. They are gorgeous. They are jaw-dropping. They look outstanding. I would say on an animation level, like choreography, movement, yes, Avatar Aang does look better than those movies, right? but I would say on a, still frame visuals level, it's pretty equal because those movies are gorgeous. And while Avatar Aang is stunningly gorgeous and has a lot of beautiful frames, it is still an action movie, right? So the focus is on the action, it's on the movement, not so much on the, moments of pause. Not to say that those moments are bad though, because again, there are some moments like in the spirit world that just look absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the colors, the way the movie uses glow and light is just insane. I could only imagine how it would be watching this in theaters. If I had to compare it to any other film, I would say it's almost like an opposite of The Legend of Hay. If you haven't seen my Legend of Hay video, you can go watch it right now. But essentially, Legend of Hay is a Chinese animated film that is almost very Avatar similar. It's about the elements and martial arts and fighting to protect the spirit realm, but it has an art style that is specifically designed to make the movement look better, right? It is very simplistic. There is not too much shading, so that when shit's moving around, you can keep track of every single thing and know exactly what's happening. And The Legend of Hay uses that to its advantage by having action scenes that the camera's constantly moving, there are a bunch of objects on screen, and there's just a million things happening at once. Where I think Avatar Aang knows its own limitations, right? It is extremely detail oriented, but any fight scene doesn't have more than like 3 people at a time on screen. Yeah, you could have a fight scene with the entire gang, but it's mostly Toph attacks, then Sokka attacks, then Zuko attacks, then Katara attacks, then Aang attacks. This is so that if they were all attacking, you wouldn't be able to keep track of anything. Sort of on the topic of the animation, but I want to talk about the character designs, y'all. Why is everyone hot? Okay, I'm not the first person on earth to ever say that. I'm not the most original guy on the planet, but everyone is really goddamn attractive in this movie. They said, let's make the gang adults and let's make them adults. Aang looks nice, right? I'm not into bald but like Katara looks cute, Sokka looks hot, Zuko looks hot, and oh my god. Okay, jokes aside, I want to address something that actually has been brought up. One of my friends brought this up to me, and it was the loss in features of some of these characters, specifically facial features. Now, I want to address that I personally, watching the movie, did not notice anything. I'll be real. I look at the characters in Avatar Aang, I look at the characters in Korra, and I look at the characters in The Last Airbender, and they're still the same characters to me. Now, some people notice some, facial details, some visual details that are missing when characters grow up in this franchise. Features that are either Afrocentric or Asian-centric that may be missing from their older counterparts. And I want to say that's totally valid if you watch this movie, notice these details, and that bothers you a bit. And I'm not a character designer. That is not my main thing that I do, but I have done character design. I have friends who are character designers, and when it comes to character design, especially aging people up for a new thing, right, there are multiple missions you're going at. There's the mission of making them look older, but making them look recognizable, making them look older and representing the themes of this story, representing the ideas that the narrative is trying to tell you. Because character design is not just creating people that could exist in this world, right? It is creating figures that you as an audience member can attach yourself to, and figures that can aid the story, aid the film, aid everything relating to the art. I would not be surprised if keeping their features when they were younger was not a major priority of these new characters, especially when you're in a position where you're trying to bridge a character design from a young version to an old version that we've all seen. But I just want to say that if, the lack of certain features, whether it's, larger noses, larger ears, or the spacing of certain body parts is bothering you in this film, that is totally valid, but I just ask that you maybe understand a bit more where these character designers could be coming from. Not to say that you should not speak your opinion or should not criticize. I'm just saying that, when it comes to art, let's understand all the perspectives. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm some random fuck on the internet. I'm some nobody. You don't have to listen to me. I don't know shit. But we've been talking about character design and animation, right? Looking at this movie was great, but listening, oh my god. The music in this movie knew what it had to do. It had an assignment, right? Avatar as a franchise has a certain musical language that it uses to communicate, right? Because Avatar as a whole is extremely inspired by Asian culture, a variety of Asian culture. So musically, it is trying to pull from all these inspirations, still trying to pull from these cultures while still being unique to the world, because the Avatar world isn't 100% fictional, not real world. Yes, the Water Tribe is based off Inuit tribes and indigenous American tribes, but it is not like The Water Tribe is not the indigenous Americans, right? The Water Tribe are fictional characters whose iconography and dress and look come from indigenous Americans. So it would be really easy to slap an existing culture, give it an element, and say, my job is done. But what really matters is making sure it works, making sure it makes sense, and making sure that it is interesting to the audience. So musically, this movie was pulling from a lot. I mean, you know, you heard the typical East Asian musical language. When we're in each tribe, it sounded like we were taken right back to the show. When we were at the Fire Nation, god damn it, we heard the fire music and it was so beautiful. But I want to point out that this movie, and even the trailer for Avatar: The Seven Havens, really wanted to showcase South Asian music and South Asian iconography. Now again, I am not South Asian. I could be talking out of my ass. But there are certain musical stings, right? Vocal singing in the movie that did not, make you think of, vocal singing that may have existed in traditional East Asian cultures, but maybe more of stuff like India or Pakistan or even some places in Arabia. And I want to point out that it could sound like both, right? It could sound like it's coming from South Asia, India, Pakistan, countries like that, or it could come from Arabic-speaking countries. I do not want to say that they are the same or that they are similar. Aladdin did enough damage, I'm sorry. There was that, and also certain characters in this film that were a lot more dark-skinned than at least I remember them being in the original series. Not a complaint, but I'm curious, are we gonna see more explorations of perhaps, some Indian cultures? I know we already delved really into the spiritual ideas that may come from Buddhism and stuff like that, but how much are we gonna delve into it? Not just in this film, but in future Avatar projects. Hey storytellers, Chill here, and I just want to take a bit of your time to say thank you for watching this video. Okay, every like and every view is deeply appreciated. In a time where lazy AI slop has taken over the internet, it's people like you who really appreciate videos made by people that makes me keep going. But with the donation pledge of just $1, you can help me make bigger and better videos. You get your name showcased at the end of every single video, and you get access to the community Discord server. Just for $1, yeah, just for $1. But what if you want to go one step beyond? What, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. For just $5, you can become a silver storyteller, where you get every single video 1 week early, and you get to vote on future pitches. You can get all that plus my uncut reactions to One Piece Season 2 and future reactions, fully uncut. And if that isn't enough, for just $10, you can get the full screenplays of every single pitch when they release, and future premium exclusive videos that we can't even put on YouTube. And you can get all of that either through Patreon or the YouTube membership. The more supporters we get, the bigger these damn videos are gonna get, and trust me, you'll want that. Again, you can either get this through the YouTube membership down below, or go to www.patreon.com/CW/ChillixionYT. That's www.patreon.com/CW/ChillixionYT. Anyway, let's head back to the video. Now let's talk about the characters. Now I haven't seen many other people's opinions or thoughts in this movie because I wanted to come into this video with a fresh mind, but I can definitely imagine that people are saying that the characters in this movie are less developed, are less focused on, and are probably less quote-unquote well written than they are in the original series. And to me, the fuck did you expect? Avatar Aang is one movie. It's one 1 hour and 30-minute movie. It's not even 2 hours or 2:30 or 3 hours, Jesus Nolan. But it is one film. And when it comes to a film, right, films are described as a moment in a character's life, right? A TV show, a book, that can be the journey of an entire person. That can be from start to finish. You get to see so much, right? In the original Avatar series, we got hours on hours on hours of time with these characters to learn about them, to grow with them, to see them do casual things, to see them do things that you would not be able to see in a movie. Not only that, but there are so many characters in the original Avatar series, and all of those characters get so much character development, get so much time, get just so much effort put into them. And I'll give the writers this. In the original series, in the original Avatar, they got really good at introducing a character in an episode and having their first lines of dialogue tell you everything you need to know about them. And I still have to rewatch the movie, but I'm not sure they did too much of that here. But from the perspective of a filmmaker, a movie, again, is a highlight of someone's life. And this movie, in the title, was about Avatar Aang. This was all Aang's story, right? It wasn't a story of Katara, not Sokka, not Zuko, not Toph, not even the main villain, not nobody else but Aang. It's about his personal journey. It's about what he does. It's about, him growing up. It's about him coming to terms with his role as the Avatar and the fact that he is literally the last airbender ever. It's the fact that he is no longer a child, that he is grown up, that he is mature, but he still has growing to do. And when you think about it like that, when you think that's the mission that this movie has to accomplish, you're like, yeah, it'd be a little difficult to also give every single character a complete, fully realized arc. At least one that is satisfying to the Avatar fan. Because every character has an arc, every character has a minor story that they are going through, but it is not as huge, as major as Aang's is here. And obviously, that can be a problem to some people. And there's no problem with that. Many people fell in love with Avatar: The Last Airbender because of the world and the characters. And this movie gives you the world, and it gives you a handful of characters, and you're really just focused on one. And there are some minor problems that come from the original series that cross over into here. Toph doesn't really have an arc at all, because she doesn't really ever have an arc. I mean, where do you take Zuko after Avatar: The Last Airbender? I mean, they gave Sokka a very defined arc because, his arc was revolved around, being useful to the team. And Katara had a whole lot of character in this movie, and I expect people are going to downplay her because they always downplay Katara. But they gave you a lot of moments of her that made you understand her mindset, understand where she was, understand her relationship with Aang, and understand, who she is as a person, who she is in this modern world, and that in a way, she's kind of the leader of Team Avatar. Not that there is a leader. There's clearly not one, to be honest. And again, I've only seen this movie once, and I want to explore it a lot more. But all of these characters that are not Aang serve to help him. So let's talk about Aang. Let's talk about his journey, and let's talk about what he went through in this film. I sort of see this movie as like Aang's epilogue, right? In the original series, we get him being childish, him having to mature, him having to realize his responsibility, him having to, reckon with the guilt, but also reckon with the idea that, hey, you can feel guilty, but bro, we gotta get shit done. And that just because there's all this pressure doesn't mean you have to fall to, all these things that your previous avatars had to. That doesn't mean that you have to let go of who you are and your own beliefs. Because it's not just the fact that he is the Avatar that let him reunite the world during the war. It is the fact that he is Aang. It is his own character that allowed everyone to unite, everyone to assemble, and everyone to come to temporary peace after the war. So here we get Aang, that very same character, that very same, lovable, even childish guy who's silly, who is still, in love with his ideals, in love with the idea that, no, I am an airbender, I must represent my people. And the context in The Last Airbender for that was, representing peace and harmony and representing pacifism. But the context here is clearly different because the fucking plot of the movie is different. Talking about Aang, talking about his character, talking about, him reckoning with his feelings of being the last airbender, of being the only one of his people, of wanting to bring his people back, of constantly feeling in danger because if he is gone, not only will the world not have an avatar, but his people will have no one left, and essentially the airbenders will be done forever. Talking about all of that makes me want to talk about the main antagonist of this film, Taga, played by the animal Dave Bautista. I walk for miles inside this bitter. Taga as an antagonist is not Azula. He is not on the level of Azula. I wouldn't even say he's on the level of Amon or Kuvira or Zahir. That's not even, let's not even consider Zahir, right? But he's not a bad antagonist. What was important for this film was the idea that he existed, right? Was the idea of what he brought, was, what he introduced into the world, what he introduced to the gang, and the conflict that he presented to Aang. We see this a lot in the legend of Korra, right? That Korra's villains, may be reasonable, have a, a point that you can understand, have a political position that you as a human being can go, I understand how someone can get here, I understand how someone can think that, but I disagree with your methods, right? That is basically every single Korra villain, whether or not the writers succeed at doing that or fail at doing it. But with these characters, you not only understand where they come from, but they usually bring one or two things that's pretty dope. I mean, again, Zahir was spitting, bro. The Earth Queen was being a fucking dickhead. Monarchies suck. So Taga brings Aang lessons from an earthbending culture, brings him history from a past that he is not aware of, brings hope that airbenders can live on past Aang, which I feel like Aang wasn't too sure if that was possible. And most importantly, on a literal level, he literally brings more air bison. Like, it's not like Togga summons them, but Togga is essentially the missing link that allows Aang to discover all these things about airbending culture and all these things about, you know, his own past that he may not have been able to fully explore. Because we gotta remember, bro, he left as a kid. You think back to when you were 11 or 12. How much of your own culture, of your own home, of your own history were you aware of? Not a lot. So these are the positives that Togga brought. The negatives, well, the negatives is that he wanted to start an empire. And I think having, you know, your antagonist be an airbender from an empire is a super interesting way of doing it. Because again, if you look at his motivation, if you look at the reason on why he feels this way, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. From Togga's perspective, the airbenders have been oppressed for years, have been oppressed for centuries, are constantly getting beaten down, have to be in the middle of wars. You know, by the time he wakes up, he is scared of earthbenders, and he has a reason to dislike waterbenders. And then Aang explains to him the 100-year war, and now he has a reason to dislike firebenders. So in Togga's mind, he's like, okay, everybody's against me. Shit. Airbenders for life. And that is a mindset that a lot of people in the real world actually have. People believe that because my people were, you know, oppressed by all these groups and oppressed by all these people, we get to make generalizations. We get to attack. We get to do the bad things. That the bad things that happen to us are not bad because of the actions, but are bad because they happen to us. Or worse, that because other people did it to us, it is okay for us to do it to them. And then because of that justification, you end up getting, you know, people erasing history. You get people doing shit that you never thought they would have done. And you end up getting fascist regimes and genocidal maniacs running around in the world. And yes, I am talking about stuff. Free Palestine, fuck Israel. And I'm not saying this movie is an anti-Israel movie. I'm not saying this movie was made specifically to talk about what's going on in Gaza. But I am saying that these behaviors are constant. These are human behavior. And storytelling is how we explore human behavior. It's how we explore difficult concepts that we do not want to explore in the real world because that shit kills people. But if you can look at it through a story, if you can, you know, try to understand the other side and understand why you disagree and understand why you have your values, you can walk out of the film as a smarter person, as a more educated person, as someone with a deeper understanding of nuance and the world as a whole. And I think some people are gonna look at the end of this film and say, it's a bummer. Aang should have fucking killed Togga. I can't believe you forgave him. But that's not the point. But to me, it's not Aang going, you did all these bad things, but I forgive you. It's Aang realizing that Togga realizes his faults. Togga understands, oh shit, I fucked up. I couldn't have been the better man. Aang is the better man. Thank you, Aang. And then Aang appreciates that. Aang does not let rage, does not let anger, does not let negativity drive him, which is what Togga did. Aang has all the reasons in the world to be bitter. Aang has all the reasons in the world to be angry, to be rude, to be disrespectful, to do all these things. He has all the reasons in the world, but he chooses not to. And that is what makes him great. And he falters. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he slips. He usually has control. He usually, in this film, can go into the Avatar state whenever he wants. But sometimes he can't. Sometimes he messes up. But it's what you do after that matters. And I think that them focusing on Aang for this movie was the best choice they could have done. It was the most focused choice that they could have done. Because they got the message across extremely clearly. They sacrificed giving you the best characters you could get and giving you the most immersive experience for giving you a message and a theme that was communicated to you extremely clearly. In my opinion, Avatar Aang is very, very different from The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender is an adventure story. It's a journey. It's about going from location A to location B to location C to location D and speaking to all the people there, learning about their cultures, about the history, about the customs, learning about our characters, right? This movie was not really that. We did have elements of it. We went from location A to location B to location C. We weren't exploring everything there. We weren't learning about, you know, all the people living there because there weren't people living there, right? The locations in this film were chosen very particularly. They were all empty, right? They were all blank canvases that our characters could walk around in. Because it wasn't so much about, everyone's journey as it was about Aang's journey. So I do think Avatar Aang as a story brought down the elements of adventure, for sure. But I think that was so it could bring up the elements of character study, bring up the elements of focusing on Aang's character. Because again, they were not given 20 episodes to do this. They were not given 20 episodes where you could, every so often check up on Aang, and then by the end of the season, you get a full story, you get a full experience. Nah, they got an hour and a half. That's what you get. And I think it did great. I personally think it did outstanding. And I think even the side characters that they did have in the movie were explored to the best of their abilities for an hour and a half. Like this group, the Denied. Right? When I watched the movie, I was like, who the f*** are the Denied? And they didn't explain everything. They didn't show you their origin story. They didn't make them the main characters of the movie. But you know why they're there. They're there to show you the struggle that still exists in this world despite the war being over. I think it's easy to look at an idea of a post-war world, of a post-Avatar world, and think it was all peace. Nothing bad was happening. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh my god, Aang is the GOAT. Instead of understanding the themes of Avatar, which is that this happens all the time. There's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be war. There's always going to be an old regime that's destroyed and a new regime that comes up. This is the cycle. There is no Avatar that can avoid conflict. There is no Avatar that can avoid making people mad. There is no hero that can be a universal peacekeeping force that everyone loves no matter what. That is not possible. And to me, that's what the Denied were about. And not only that, but having them in the movie and not giving us so much information, that made me go, well, I want to learn more about them. I want to learn more. Isn't that what we all experienced watching The Last Airbender? Every little thing we saw, we wanted to learn more about the Dai Li, want to learn more about the Kyoshi warriors, you want to learn more about bloodbending. And while the film ends with the Denied becoming, the airbending acolytes, there's still a good few years in between The Last Airbender and this movie that we can explore who the Denied are. And maybe connect the Denied to who eventually become the Equalists. Bridge that gap and make that first season of Korra way better. And I love it. It could be way better. But I don't know, right? It's the Denied. It's, the islands that they went through. It's the storms. It's the fact that even though, we explored The Last Airbender, we explored Korra, and so many people believe that we were done with this world, that we had exhausted the world, that we maybe just wanted characters or just wanted to adapt the comics. We're able to expand it even more. Expand the world even more. Expand the characters even more. Expand Avatar even more. Right? These last, 30, 20 minutes have been me geeking out about this movie, but I love it, okay? And if you haven't seen it, go watch it now. Go watch it now. I've been really nice and I haven't spoiled any big details. Go watch Avatar Aang right now, please. Okay. We talked about the movie proper. We talked about Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. But that's not all this video is about. Right? Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this video. Let's talk about the leak. In April of this year, April 2026, clips of this movie were released on Twitter. And soon after that, the entire movie was released. Now, there's conversations, right, that the Avatar Studios may have a mole. How on earth are they getting all this out? Plus, leak culture is getting worse. Shit is getting released all the time. Passwords are not being secure. It seems like the more we're on the internet, the less we're being safe about it. Right, but a mole or not, I just want to acknowledge, dickhead move. Fucking asshole. And Avatar Studios, if you do have a mole, lock it the fuck up. What are you doing? I'm not talking to the directors or the artists who made the movie. I'm talking to the fucking tech people. IT, do your job. But obviously, with the leaks, fans immediately watched the movie and shared it around. Because you know what? You get one person watching the movie, you get a few clips of the movie, you get the whole movie on Twitter. There are going to be spoilers. Fans are going to be worried. And you know what? In an original version of this video, I wanted to put the name of the person who leaked this film in the video. I don't want to do it. I don't want to give them any more attention than they obviously deeply want, deep in their soul, because something's missing. But it's f***ed up. It's truly f***ed up. It is a legitimate tragedy that this happened, right? Making a movie, making anything, any art, takes blood, sweat, tears, effort, and love. Right? This movie had tons of artists, storyboarders, writers, voice actors, sound designers, production assistants, people who got coffee. It didn't matter. There were so many people who worked on this movie who wanted to see their art released onto the world. Right? As a filmmaker, seeing your movie in theaters for the first time, with people reacting to it for the first time, that matters. Right? That is something that you can never get. If you miss that premiere, it's not going to be the same. And this leak stole that from them. And that's fucked up. right? Even if what ended up happening didn't happen, even if everything released in theaters like it was supposed to, the leaker is still fucked up because you stole a first experience from a lot of people. And if you're a fan who watched the leak because you were scared of getting spoiled, or you really couldn't wait and you were like, I needed to, I understand. I'm not actually mad at any individual fans who watched the movie that got leaked, right? It's not your fault that other people released it and now you are in the spoiler circle where you can get fucking shot at any moment with information that you didn't want to know. But if you shared it around, right, within communities, within people that are, you know, not your immediate close friends, online, on Twitter Spaces, on Tumblr, on Reddit, or worse, if you're the one who leaked it, you're not a fan. You're a fanatic. And that's worse. Way worse. So obviously, the movie getting leaked was fucked up, right? I remember when I saw it, I was like, dang, the movie is leaked. Well, I'm not gonna watch it, right? Because I am a real Avatar fan and I want to see this movie in theaters because that is the true experience that we all deserve as Avatar fans. I'm going to wait. Paramount didn't like that one bit, huh? Because Paramount announced that the theatrical release of this movie would be canceled and that the film would be directly dropping into streaming immediately. First up, I want to say this is the fault of both the leaker who released the movie and Paramount. This is both of y'all's problem, right? Because the leaker released the movie. None of this would have ever happened if the movie never got released. But Paramount didn't have to do that. Like, okay, I understand the financial worry, right? Because the movie released, you know, online and it is free to watch and anyone can in theory watch it, there is no real quote-unquote incentive to go to a theater and watch it there, to spend money on a trip, to spend money to go to a premiere, to spend money on snacks, to spend all this money when you can see the movie for free. I understand. Paramount probably thought that they were going to get a loss. Hell, they might have gotten an extreme loss. I probably assume a lot of people wouldn't have watched it because they're lazy and they just want to watch it leaked. But that does not excuse what Paramount ended up stealing from the artists, because the leaker is the one who stole the idea that this movie could have a first genuine reaction in theaters. Paramount is what stole the idea that this movie could be in theaters. And pretty damn important, what about the fans? I mean, if you think about everyone who grew up watching Avatar, everyone who was super excited to watch this movie in the movie theater, now we don't even get to do that? The f***? Now we have to watch it at home? Bro, what if I only have a fucking Game Boy? What are you talking? This was the Avatar movie. This wasn't a Avatar movie, right? This was the Avatar movie. That M. Night shit was ass. There was tons of outrage, and I was hoping that the outrage would, you know, convince Paramount to do something huge. I was telling people who had seen the movie, because they're like, bro, it's gonna release on streaming, you might as well watch it now. I was like, no, man, I'm only gonna watch that shit in theaters. I'm not watching that shit on streaming, bro. It's not gonna hit the same. It is not worth it. Paramount half listened. 2 dates were added for a theater release. One in New York City and one in Los Angeles. I think the day before the actual movie released, you could go there and watch it in theaters. And that was the official premiere. And you know what? I'm glad. I am really glad, because that means the creators could see it in theaters. That means tons of fans could see it in theaters. And you know what? If you were really dead ass and had the money and had the time, you could have went to New York City. You could have went to fucking Los Angeles, paid that much money, and went to see Avatar. If you were really a hardcore fan, I bet you did it. And if you did, let me know in the comments below, because I am so goddamn jealous of you. Like, I was looking at ticket prices, bro. It was tough. But I'm moving, man. I can't spend that money. And you know, something is better than nothing. That is the truth. Something is always better than nothing. But thousands, maybe tens of thousands of Avatar fans did not get the chance to see this movie in theaters. And even more people did not get the chance to just stumble upon this movie randomly, right? If you were a 6-year-old kid, there was a chance that your parent could have taken you to this movie because it's in the theaters. Now you don't get that chance. They're not gonna put this shit on fucking street. What are you talking? They're gonna put on Bluey. Put on fucking Mr. Tung Tung Sahoo. And I think that mostly saddens me, because this movie is an incredible piece of art. This movie is beautiful. This movie does a lot of things that, you know, animated movies don't do. Number one, graps. It's very easy for me to say this movie shouldn't have been leaked. Like, duh. Obviously, it shouldn't have been leaked. That's the fucking statement of the century. But this movie should have been released in theaters. That is what still frustrates me to this day. Like, despite all my love that I show for the movie, and I loved it, I probably would have loved it more if I saw it in theaters. I was hoping that the 2 theatrical release dates would convince them to release it worldwide, but they didn't want to. They didn't want to spend the money. And I understand that it's expensive, but what was lost can never could never, you can't get that back, bro. You can't get that back. You can release it in theaters tomorrow, it will not hit the same. And again, something is better than nothing. I am incredibly grateful, right? As a fan of Avatar, but as a fan of film, as a fan of animation, I am glad that we got a 2D animated film this year, right? One that is action-packed, one that is aimed at an older audience, and one, you know, not from Disney or Pixar or whatever. This movie was gonna be a big deal. This movie is a big deal, is a huge deal that it exists. But I think this is just one more example of how little studios respect animation and respect artists in general. We all say this. Animation, we love to say that animation is cinema. The studios do not think this at all. And we know that damn well. How a film is watched, how a film is seen is just as important as what is in the film itself, right? I'm not a Nolan head, but the recent conversations about Nolan's The Odyssey and the fact that it's on 40mm IMAX, that there aren't that many IMAX theaters, has some people mad. I can't watch the original Nolan version, and I get it. It's frustrating. There's also a conversation that it's a class issue. It's not a class issue. If you can't afford to go see it in IMAX, bro, don't go to the movie. That means you can't afford to go see it regularly. Stay home, please. I'm begging you. Times are tough. But the point is, people are frustrated because 40mm is how Nolan intended, right? It is the original version of the movie. If you're not watching it in 40mm, then I guess you're not watching a real version, is what people say. I personally disagree, because people are going to rewatch The Odyssey. They're going to watch it at home. They don't have a 40mm screener. Are you serious? People watch movies in all types of ways, right? I have no judgment sometimes. So with this film, I had an amazing time. The animation was beautiful. The music made me tear up. I missed the characters. I missed the world. Guys, I missed Avatar. I still miss Avatar. And I got a little piece of it in this movie. I got a piece of it in my heart. And I'll never forget this movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies of this year. I'm going to rewatch it a few more times, and it's probably going to remain one of my favorite movies of this year. And I had a great time watching it, but I can't help but think how good it would have been if I saw it on a screen bigger than I've ever seen. Speakers blaring from all around me. Seeing the film at the highest possible quality, screened directly in a cinema, with snacks, with other people, other people's reactions, other people's feelings, applause, tears. How beautiful that would have been to experience this film like that. Maybe I'm delusional, right? Maybe I'm an Avatar fan that is glazing. Maybe I'm a fan that thinks too much, too highly of this franchise. But I think with how Avatar fans are, how the culture is now, and how many new fans, whether it's fans from the quarantine era, or fans who are just starting Avatar now, or fans who are going to start with Avatar Aang, how many people would have gone to the theater? I think the box office numbers, even with the leak, and the public reception of this film, of a 2D animated action film made for teenagers, about Asian culture, about a fantasy world, not Marvel, not DC, a franchise, but an original franchise made by its original creators. The love that would have got, I think that would have changed animation forever. Well, storytellers, that was my video on Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. Half a discussion, half a recommendation, half me ranting about the situation regarding this film, because goddammit, I wanted to watch this film in theaters first, and I didn't. I watched it on my computer, bro, like a dork. But I still loved it, right? I still love the movie, and I hope you love the movie, and I hope you love this video. What are your thoughts on the movie, on the situation, on everything relating to it? Please comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. I read them all, I like them all, and even sometimes I reply. It means the world to me that you watched this far into the video. If you did, let's hopefully get this video to 80 likes, right? If we can get to 80 likes, I'll know for sure that you guys want to see more Avatar stuff. I eventually want to do like a full series analysis of all The Last Airbender in one huge video. It would be Very time consuming and very expensive, but if you guys want it to happen, I'll gladly do it. It has been a while since I've done one of these discussions. I mean, obviously, you know, this is not the green screen wall. It's a U-Haul box, bro. It's a U-Haul box that I put clothes on. But that's because I'm actively moving. By the time you watch this, I will either have already moved or I am moving as you're watching it. So wish me luck. And if you enjoy my videos and want to get them an entire week early with other benefits, like I said in the middle, you can join my Patreon or my YouTube membership. And this video has been brought to you by my lovely fans, people like you who watch these videos and give it the love you guys think it deserves, including my YouTube members and my patrons, FM Meridian and Cobalt9241. If you want your name written and said at the end of these videos, you can join my Patreon or YouTube membership. Information down below. And if you want the conversation to keep going, you can catch me live on YouTube on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, okay? Usually around 5:30 p.m. PST, but times vary. Keep up with my community tab. Join us. It's a great fun time. But I think that's going to be all for today's video. Again, thank you so much. It feels so good to be back talking with a mic and a green screen, kind of. Thank you so much for watching this video. It means the world to me that you gave me your time of day. And I hope all of you have a damn good one. Peace.